Ken Roczen's biggest achievements in his career are not his 22 Supercross wins, or 21 motocross victories, or even his 2 Pro Motocross Championships. It is getting back on a bike after an injury so severe, doctors considered amputation. How is it possible that Ken Roczen came back from this? This is the story of a champion who lost everything, kept a draining secret from his fans, and found an unconventional path back to the top. By the end, you'll understand why his approach to 2025 could result in the most improbable championship comeback in motorsport history. Madstedt, Germany, 1994. Far from the bright lights of American Supercross, Ken Roczen was about to change what the motocross world thought possible. At 12, he wasn't just racing, he was professional. At 17, he captured the MXGP World Championship, dominating Europe before setting his sights on America. But what he did in 2014 and 2016 was crazy. His arrival wasn't subtle. From his first gate drop on American soil, Roczen displayed a combination rarely seen: raw speed with mechanical precision. When he claimed the 2014 AMA 450cc Motocross Championship by defeating Ryan Dungey at just 20 years old, it wasn't merely a victory, it was a statement. Behind these results, a relentless work ethic, grinding workouts, countless laps, obsessive attention to detail. While others hoped for victory, Roczen expected it. His second championship in 2016 wasn't just a repeat, it was domination. 9 wins that season left competitors demoralised. His move to Honda for 2017 seemed like the final piece of a championship dynasty in the making. When Roczen opened the 2017 season with back-to-back victories, the narrative seemed predestined. This wasn't just a hot start, this was inevitable. Greatness unfolding exactly as planned. His biggest challenge was yet to come. As he lined up for Anaheim 2 that January night, commentators weren't asking if he'd win the championship, only by how much. In motorsports, disaster happens in fractions of a second. When Roczen's foot slipped off the peg mid-air, no amount of preparation could protect him from what followed. Medical assessment was devastating. Compound fractures, dislocated joints, severe nerve damage to his left arm. This wasn't just another racing injury, it was career-threatening. 11 separate surgeries followed. The damage was so severe that doctors eventually suggested amputation might be necessary. For a professional athlete whose life revolved around perfect control of his motorcycle, this wasn't just about healing, it was about survival. All from the slip of a foot. If you didn't catch it, go back and watch. Rehabilitation became Roczen's new full-time occupation, one far more challenging than training ever was. The process was excruciating. He had to relearn basic motor functions while enduring constant pain. A medical professional said his combination of injuries was particularly devastating for a motocross athlete. Sport demands extraordinary grip strength and neural responsiveness, precisely what was compromised. Just as Roczen was beginning to rebuild, fate struck again in 2018. Another crash, another injury, this time his right hand. Shattered bones, torn ligaments, the very hand being relied on to compensate for his compromised left side. This wasn't even the tip of the iceberg. Behind these visible struggles lurked another opponent fans couldn't see. Epstein-Barr virus, chronic fatigue, brain fog. The invisible enemy attacked the very foundation of what made Roczen exceptional: his capacity to push harder than everyone else. While his body fought against him, Roczen's mind waged its own battle. Depression set in, something few champions ever admit publicly. Ken Roczen said he's also afraid of retiring. Between 2019 and 2022, Roczen's results fluctuated wildly. Physical toll was visible in his riding, but the mental burden manifested in quieter ways. Race weekends that once brought excitement now triggered anxiety. During this time though, Roczen was given the greatest gift, the balance his life needed, but could he really come full circle? The constant pressure to recapture his pre-injury form with a body that simply couldn't respond the same way created a psychological weight as heavy as any physical limitation. By mid-2022, Roczen stood at a crossroads that would determine not just his future in motocross, but his entire identity. Continue forcing himself through the punishing AMA schedule despite diminishing returns, or walk away from the only life he'd ever known. Instead, Roczen chose a third path that few saw coming. He pivoted to the World Supercross Championship, a series with a less physically demanding racing schedule. Roczen said, "The WSX format provided me with the opportunity to race less frequently and travel to different countries. We would continue to shock us." Parallel to this professional reinvention came an even more transformative personal change: fatherhood. The dad life, as he called it, created a natural balance between competition and family. This newfound balance produced unexpected benefits, with his son waiting at the finishing line. Races, win or lose, no longer defined his entire self-worth. In February 2023, Roczen shocked the motocross world with a victory at Indianapolis, his first win in over 2 years. This wasn't just a trophy, it validated his unconventional approach. His WSX championship performances demonstrated that Roczen could still compete at the highest level when racing on his own terms. By modifying his approach, rather than abandoning it entirely, he found a sustainable path forward. Roczen said, "Things can change for the better and not always for the worse." As Roczen prepares for 2025, he's rewriting what a champion's journey looks like. His evolution from a championship or nothing mentality to a sustainable approach offers lessons beyond motorsports. The young phenom who once believed suffering was the only path to greatness has discovered something more valuable: balance. By creating space for both competition and family, Roczen has crafted something potentially more meaningful than another championship trophy: longevity in a sport that often discards its wounded warriors. The true measure of Roczen's accomplishment isn't found in statistics or championship standings, but in his continued presence on the starting line. Each time he faces the great drop, he's already won a victory that transcends the track itself. This isn't just a comeback story, it's a reimagining of what success means in professional sports. And in 2025, Ken Roczen might just show us that the most improbable championships aren't won through perfection, but through perseverance. The way this season was panning out, I thought we were going to see Ken Roczen challenge for the championship. He certainly did not do his chances any good with that crash. But after over halfway through the season, Ken sits 36 points behind. If we continue to see mud races, stranger things have happened, then Ken Roczen get back into this championship. And if that happens, he will be like a dog with a bone, something I wouldn't bet against. Leave your comments below on whether Ken Roczen is possibly the best Supercross racer never to win a championship.